with Ken in a student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wayne in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hey everybody, and welcome to Show X. So, admittedly, while this is going, you may take a moment because I have had a slight snafu with computer stuff yet again, and in the process, I am now trying to get things sorted out so that Ken can hear us. And in doing so, I'm trying to figure out which place to put things so that it all works.
Yep, I can hear you.
Weird. Wait. Okay, so you can hear me when I do it that way. But you talk again, because I don't think you're coming through on...
Yep, testing.
So you're coming through on the video stream, but I don't have you coming through on Sam, that piece of it.
Okay, is Sam actually doing just your audio, or is it doing a VAC?
It's going through a VAC, just a second. So yes, everybody, you're getting a little bit of real time as we troubleshoot this, but let's see, where was that?
That's half the fun.
I just had to find out which one of these it is. Yeah, line 1, and then line 1 goes to... That's line 2. Oh, wait. I don't know. It's going to be one of these, we'll see. It is me just figuring out Ken's Skype output, I believe, to allow us to hear him as well. So, I thought it was that one, but maybe it's this one. Alright, what's going on for you now, Ken?
I can hear everything just fine. Can you guys hear me?
That's going through.
Cool.
So,
Okay,
yay,
what
we can
was it?
start the show. It's the wrong, like I said, it was having the wrong audio cable in the wrong place. So hopefully everyone can hear us and it's going through. So, sweet. Alright, so, let's go ahead, kick things off right with a little bit of...
functional deviations.
Alright, but now to do that, I need to also do this so that I can hear stuff. And everyone else can hear. Yay! Show's working. Alright, so sorry about that, everybody. I had an issue where when the computer blew up, my last one, I had to rebuild it. One of the challenges is sometimes a lot of your software keys are tied directly to the hardware that you use. And in this case with Sam, which is what we're doing, the challenge is there are methods in a lot of these cases to have these things work so that you can continue to use it and transfer licenses between hardware. But to do so, you also have to make sure that, well, at least in spatial, with Sam's case, is you have to preemptively know that you're going to move that license before you change it. So when you have a hardware failure, and it thus crashes on you, that makes it a little difficult because it's hard to preempt that. Anyhow, we're back. It's showtime. You're listening to Show X today on the, what is it, the 16th? 16th of October, 2016. Sunday at just after 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT. And let's go forth. So, Ken, how are you doing today? Oh, see? Come on, son.
I am Fabby. I'm just playing around with the video wall on my phone, and it seems to be working just fine, so that's good. Can you guys still hear me, yeah? If I've not screwed anything up somehow?
No, that seems to be working.
Cool, okay. Yeah, so Tromad in the IRC was saying, what's this video wall? What's this hangout thing? Shows how long since we've actually used it.
Oh, gosh.
So if you go into the VTW Productions main website, you can either Google VTW or you can go to www.vtwproductions.com and you click on a video wall at the top. It'll give you a link to a Google Hangout. When you join, please mute yourself because then you don't have to listen to both the podcast and all of the listeners talking to each other simultaneously. It's best if we have coherent speech and audio. So please do join us. It's good fun. We've got 3 in there so far. Got myself, and we got the lovely Miss Kopii as well. So a good few of us there already. Enjoying the old school video wall. And I think Mr. Wayne was saying you're going to try and join on your phone, maybe?
I'm going to give it an attempt. Actually, I could probably do it on the main computer since that part would work on it. You just will see the side of my head if I do that. So I may do that, but I'm kind of clicking in through the phone now to see if I can, if it's smart enough for me to take the link from the website. Oh, it is. It looks like it's going to Hangouts directly.
Yes,
So,
I've just done that. Yeah.
join the call, mute my mic, and then have it kick in there, and look at that.
Yep, you've joined. Yeah, you're flying all over the place. Yep.
Hey!
Either the camera is one or the other.
Well, so that way I can stick this off to the side for one part, and hopefully that will work. Whoops, wrong way. I'll have to switch the camera on the other side. Switch over. Real time. Yes. Alright, so hopefully that will... Hey, that seems
This
to
is
work.
all professional stuff. Okay.
It is something. So yes, this show is mostly held together with duct tape again today, but we will manage it. It'll work out. All right. So thank you. Yeah, so you too, if you're listening live, can join the video wall. Just go to the front page of vtwproductions.com. If you look at the link at the top bar, it'll say video wall. And as you jump in, you will be able to see everybody else on there. It looks like a Hando may be joining in as well. Just make sure you mute your mic, and then everyone can see each other as we do the show. Sweet! Yeah, this may be the way we do this forward, because at least that way it keeps us separate from, at least for Ken and I, so we don't destroy our hardware while also doing the show. That's kind of the goal. So we will continue to figure out, yeah, it's been a while since we've been in the video wall, but that is good. Good to see. Alright, so now that we're all connected and things are running, and hopefully people can hear us across all directions, including on Alpha Geek Radio, since I have everything out and running, and on the video through YouTube if you'd like to see our lovely faces outside of the video wall. Jump in, join us, and be a part of the show. Alright, so with that, we are ready to go. And Ken, what have you been doing that hasn't been geeky this week?
Well, it was my birthday on Wednesday, so that was pretty sweet.
Yes.
You know how birthdays are like one of the best days of the year because you can take a chill. You don't feel like you're obliged to do anything in life. You can just relax, and you don't feel guilty about being a lazy slob.
It's your day.
Well, yeah, it's exactly. It's your day. You've earned it, and all that. That's mostly the case. For me, I was working this year, which is kind of sad, but it wasn't too bad. It was only a couple hours of classes, and then I just said, screw it, going home. I don't have to be here. So I just went home after that, and it wasn't so bad.
Very nice.
And that evening, I had a few friends come round. We had some food and good times. We had a few drinks. Nothing crazy because I was working the next day as well. But it was nice, just to sit there and eat, and people brought around like cupcakes and salads and,
yum.
Mixed foods, and it was just nice. It was a very adult evening. It was a very adult birthday, and that was nice.
You meaning it wasn't a drunken debacle where you sat there and just like everybody got trashed? Like what?
Exactly, it wasn't for once. Yeah. But I received a few gifts that I'd asked for, which is very nice. I got a bunch of camera stuff. I intentionally asked for camera stuff. Because there's so many things out there that I say like, oh, I'd love to be able to do a shot like that, but I'm missing X and Y. Plus, photography requires several things, but it requires you to be in a somewhat unique location. You need to, if you do the same photos in the same place all the time, it gets a bit dull, right? So you need to kind of move around. You need to have the equipment to deal with different scenarios. For example, one of the things I got was ND filter, but it's like a half ND filter, which means that basically for non-photography lovers out there, what this is basically just a bit of glass that goes in the front of my camera, that half of it is darker than the other half. So there's literally just like the top half is dark, bottom half is just see-through glass. And the reason for it is so that when I'm looking at like a sunset or something and it's pointing across the landscape, where the photo would normally have half sky, half land, the cameras are not really good at differentiating, unlike our eyes, which are really good, and we've got some.
Our eyes are basically HDR eyes. We can see high dynamic range. We can very easily see and change contrast in the scene. So if you look anywhere and you see bright in the distance, you can see the bright, you can still see it, but you can also still see what's around you that's dark. And that's the thing where a camera can only handle one amount of lighting, and so it's limited range, and so you can't do that. And so this kind of filter essentially allows you to choose what part of your photo is getting a slight bit of tint to it, or a slight bit of reduction in light while the rest is open. Is that what the ND filter does?
Exactly. So like, say you're taking a photo again, the sky, and say a waterscape or a landscape. You take the you bring the camera up and you look forward and you turn the filter so that it's perfectly adjusted so that the skyline or the whatever is just in line with the ND filter's cutoff range. And then when you take the photo, rather than artificially doing it in Photoshop or whatever later, it's actually just slightly darkened the sky so that the photos is a bit more realistic. It's a bit more like your eye. A lot of photography, people seem to think that editing and stuff is to make stuff artificial and to add features. What really you're doing is trying to make it more realistic. You're trying to make it more what you actually see. Cameras don't take photos of what you see; they take photos of what they see, and they've not got good eyesight. It's just not great. So it does make up for that. I also got some general ND fillers, which are just instead of it being like the halfway cutoff thing, it's just fully a little bit darker, so that if I'm doing like a shot during the day that has a high exposure. So, for example, I want to take a shot over 5 seconds. I can now do that without it, just being blinding white light, and that's all. Also got a new camera bag. Got a couple new batteries, which is really useful.
Yes,
so I'm gonna start charging those up, having those in my bag. Yeah, I've got a new SD card because I had a 16 gig, which is quite small, but it was a HD video transfer rate one.
Ah, gotcha. So
that
you could really capture.
Which was really
quickly.
nice. Yeah, it meant I could take lots of photos really quickly, and it would save them quickly. Even though I couldn't store as many, it meant that if I was in the moment and I was trying to take a really fast shot of like a hawk flying by or a boat racing by or whatever, I could do that, no problem. It'll be like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, it's the ability to do multiple
5
shutter shots and not have it have to back up in your camera's buffer as it's trying to write out to the storage device.
Yeah. It's a big thing, so that's been useful. But now I've also got a 64 gig. It's still a high transfer rate, but not as high as that one. So now I can actually do general photography for longer, both battery life and with memory. So that's great.
It's funny is having a 64 gig and your camera being able to do as high as it can. I bet you that's easily about 2,500 photos per filling that card.
Yep.
Which is funny because like my main card that I run in my 7D, which is plenty for most shoots, is a 32 gig, and with that I can shoot over 1,200 photos, or right around, and that is a good shoot. If I fill that card, I'm doing a lot of work. That has to be like a full wedding type thing all day, where I'm just going nuts with pictures. In which case I'll grab my 2 backup 16 gig cards, and it's funny because they've since announced, or I don't know if it's actually available yet, that there's an SD card that's a terabyte.
Yes, that's that we mentioned on the show a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
exactly. That it's just so you think how many photos that would be able to handle. I laugh because as I transfer photos off, because I did some shoots this weekend as well. You just keep transferring to like a hard drive to edit as well as to store for future reference, or if you ever need to get a hold of them again. You start doing shoots. I think I said it when we brought it up on a terabyte card. You need big hard drives, and lots of them at that point. That's just silly. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, at that point, my freaking PC couldn't hold the photos that my camera could at that point, which is kind of terrifying. So yeah, I got a bunch of cool photography kit, which I'm really pleased with. It's not stuff I've been like dying to get, but I actually got it more of a sort of, I could get stuff that's like games or whatever, and I'd enjoy it. But it wouldn't, I want to get stuff that's going to encourage me to do what I should be doing with my spare time. There's a difference between enjoying yourself and feeling content. When you're happy with your life and when you're happy that you've done something and accomplished something, it's different from just feeling general happiness. It's longer lasting, I think. When you think to yourself, what have I done? When you get to the end of the year, what have I done this year? And you think, oh, I spent a lot of time on my hobbies, and I did well in my career, and yada yada yada. If you can actually, the more of that sort of stuff you can say at once, the happier you'll be overall, I think. This overall happiness versus day-to-day happiness, I think, is the key. Yeah. And so I'm trying to concentrate more on this overall, trying to accomplish stuff with my hobbies and my life in general.
It feels good to accomplish goals. It feels great to actually check something off a list or realize that was something you had planned to do, you finished. It's such a good feeling. I recommend. It's also why I always tell people that it's good to have goals, but it's good to make sure your goals are attainable and small, and not these. Your goal should not be the world peace goal. Your goal needs to be something you can do.
Even if you have like a lifetime goal, like I want to be the CEO of my own company. The thing is, what do you do once you get that? Like what you say you're 39, you're 42, and you get that. Say you are the CEO of your company at that point. Okay. And then you look around and you go, great, I've done it, I've accomplished it, and I'm only halfway. Crap.
Well, but
what
you
do I
say
do
that
now?
no. No. That's the other mistake people make. Is as you start to reach forward to a goal and you start to actually attain your goal, the goal or the important part is to make sure you then create a new goal before you get it, before you hit it. We actually talk about this in martial arts. There's a thing in martial arts, and I wish I was doing, again, split my body, do multiple things, because this weekend's our big national or worldwide gathering of Toshindo out in Dayton, Ohio, our festival, yearly festival. And so a lot of people I know are out doing martial arty things all weekend, and I've been seeing posts from that, which is really cool. But one of the discussions we always made is that as you progress through martial arts, and this is true of, I think, all of them, a large majority of people see attaining their black belt as their primary goal and their initial goal. It's something that's very obvious that you can see and reach towards. And the problem is there's a statistic that after people reach their black belt, the majority of people stop doing martial arts at that point. More people, once they get that, they kind of think, oh, I made it, I did it. And then they may stick around for a while, but a lot of times they'll slowly taper off and stop doing it. And the problem that runs into is because most of them hadn't taken the time to set another goal past reaching the black belt. So then once they get there, they're kind of like, well, now what? And so it's something we talk about in all things you do. If your goal is to finish a project this weekend, then absolutely make that goal. And then once you make it, and that's the thing, when you do it at that level of like cleaning the house or something like that, it's kind of easy because we probably have hundreds of other tasks and projects we need to do. So that's easy. But when you set big life goals, you should always have something ready, or as you realize you might actually attain that goal, you should be working on, well, what next? And that way you always, because as a CEO, right, you get that CEO of a company, your next goal should probably be, what can I do to improve the company? What can I do to make it a bigger thing, or to make my product better, or things like that, right? Or now that I've made the CEO, maybe I'm going to focus more on what I'm going to do to retire, and maybe philanthropy other places, or trying to help.
Or what horrible things could I say at press conferences that'll come bite me in the ass in 10 years' time I run for presidency? That kind of thing as well,
You say bite you in the rear, but as long as you just go on a ticket of I really don't care because whatever, the past doesn't exist, then you could just say whatever, and when it comes up later, you just ignore it or completely deny it ever happened. And just continue. So that doesn't really stop you.
I like how that goes both ways. Anyway, yes.
On either major candidate here in the U.S., yes.
Yeah. That was good. But yes, I think it is that you have to have a mix of both. You have to have long-term goals. Don't just have a single life goal in that. So, have lots of intermediates and little goals. Be like, this year I want to do this month I want to do this day I want to do this, and in the next hour I want to do this. That's a good way to live your life, And then you can actually sometimes say, like, in the next hour I want to just relax and do nothing for an hour, and if I do that, then I've succeeded, and I can tick that off. Great. Like, you're allowed to do that. That should be your goal a lot of the time.
What is this
your
thing
goal
you
should
call
be to relax
relaxing?
sometimes.
I don't understand.
We say as we sit here chilling out, doing our podcast.
Well, but we're doing something, right? We're still actively doing something. This just happens to be something that's a little more fun, although, admittedly, just before, during, as long as nothing happens, we're okay, but at the end, when everything finishes up, there's still a lot of, like, things around the cast of making sure it's working right and not exploding, like this morning. That makes it less of a chill, just have a good conversation with my friends. So there's that.
That's true. So anyway, sorry, I think I led us down a random...
What? Show X going down rabbit holes?
Yes, my birthday was good, and one... I know we never do that. Never, ever. One of the other things I should mention is I got this... Now, the story behind this is I woke up in the morning at, like, 1 a.m., right? Well, not 1 a.m., that's a total lie. It was 6:30, like, when we got up for work. And Kitten was like, oh, happy birthday, yay, hey, let me give you a present. I was like, oh, no, let's wait till tonight, let's wait till the celebration. She's like, no, just one little one. And I was like, okay. And so she came over to me and handed me this little box. And it was just a kind of cardboard white box, well, the size of that lens there. And I thought to myself, okay. And then I opened it up in sort of my bleary-eyed way, because it was very early in the morning.
You thought it was a lens.
Now, I was well aware that this trick gift existed. I've seen it before. In fact, I lived with a guy who had one of these. I know fine well that this is a thing. And yet, in my morning state, I was like, oh my god, she got on my wish list to have these two lenses that I really want at some point in my life in the next, like, few years, sort of thing. They're like several £100, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I thought I knew that she got stuff from my Amazon list, and I thought, oh my god, she actually like saved up and like got me this really expensive lens. I can't believe she's so. All these sort of thoughts were going through my mind for like a split second. Then I thought, wait a minute, and I glanced at it, and yeah. So for those who didn't have a proper look, this is it says Canon 24-105mm macro lens. So it's a pretty fancy looking lens, but if you also look inside it at all, I don't know if you can see there.
Yep. It is meant to hold things other than light. Mainly a beverage.
Yes, liquids. It is actually a cup. It's a very realistic looking lens. It actually feels quite realistic too.
Oh no, it's the right size, and if you could actually pull the back off, you'd be able to probably put it on a camera body. I laugh though because I have 2 of them sitting in a bag over there that I had gotten for my birthday, which I quite love, in fact, and I keep meaning to, but haven't taken one into work and then used one on the show, actually. One of my goals here, and I keep forgetting that they're in there because I need to go through in one of my projects, clean the house, and put things away, which I'll have to do this week. But no, I think they're actually quite a cool gift, especially for a photographer, just to have that kind of thing around you more often. I think it's a lot of fun. So that's very cool.
Plus, it'll guilt you into doing more photography as well, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, you say that.
I know you've got your list of stuff you need to do, but I don't know. For me, my biggest challenge right now is just I'm kind of bored of this area. Don't get me wrong, I think Stirling's beautiful, but I've kind of done it to death with photography. And I really want to do more. I really want to do landscape photography. It's something probably I do the least because it's so tough to find a new place without traveling far.
Yeah, fair.
That I think is appropriately beautiful. So I find that really tough. That's my biggest challenge right now, is that if I want to do any photography, I have to dedicate a couple of hours to drive somewhere.
Well, but there's a nice thing. Now that you have your own car, you can now sit up an afternoon, maybe go have a picnic with Kitten, and go find a place to shoot. I've actually found that is a wonderful way to do things, and I'll speak to in my section a little bit about. But yeah, being able to just use it as an excuse to get out into the world, photography is great for that.
Yeah, it's true.
Especially when you just like, you almost want to put up a map and put push pins of like to lay out places you've been, and so you can keep like planning new areas based on where there's no pins. Right? I want to go over there. Let's hit this. Because for me here in Colorado,
there's this cathedral. No, not a cathedral. An old abbey that's like been abandoned for hundreds of years. That's about, I don't know, a 2-hour drive from here. And that's a long. Remember, that's a long way for Britain. Remember, we see that as a long drive.
Is that one across into northern England, or is that one still in Scotland?
No, it's still in Scotland. It's just in the west of Scotland.
Well, I just wondered because I had gone to an abbey up by Leeds, which isn't far from where you're at.
Oh no, this is kind of a lesser known one. So I imagine if you were doing tourism and stuff, it'd be,
this was the one I went to was a big one.
Okay. No, I've been to a few like big cathedrals and stuff down in England, and they are beautiful. Don't get me wrong. But no, I think it's called Abbey Craig or something. I can't remember. I might be wrong. But it's been abandoned for hundreds of years. But recently, there's been a resurfacing of a lot of graffiti artists go there, and they do these huge, monstrous pieces on the side of these buildings.
Oh, wow.
One of them is like a giant Hulk that must be like, I don't know, 10 meters by 5. Like
bigger than life size?
Huge thing. Yeah, bigger. Yeah, genuinely bigger than life size, and a golem as well. But both of them are so beautifully, I don't know if they're painted or spray painted or what, but they're so beautifully accurate and detailed that you just think, wow, this must be a professional job. And I don't know if it is or isn't. I don't know if it was like a project or something, but I've seen some other photographers go there and get some lovely shots of it. I'd love to go along there and you know just to say I've done it. Just even though it's kind of a cheaty way of doing photography because you're taking photos of somebody else's art at that point, right?
Well, but
I think you can still add your unique point of view on it.
Yeah, there's ways to capture.
It's my own way of appreciating it.
Oh yeah, well, there's ways to capture it that aren't just grabbing the photo, right, or grabbing the paint. You can grab the building it's on, show the landscape it's around, things like that make it much more so. I've done graffiti art photography because going down in Pueblo, one, because that town has so many graffitiists, not necessarily artists, but seeing some buildings that are just like, boom, graffiti all over, and just seeing that collection of it was really intriguing, especially the colors used, so absolutely.
I know a friend of mine who took a photo of it, so I'm going to go look through this person's old gallery, but in the meantime, I'll do that. I'll do it on the side here, and then I'll link in the IRC eventually. But anyway, so other than that, let's see what I've been up to. I made a transition, which is I suppose slightly geeky here, and it's not the most interesting thing, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because I feel like it. So with my new phone, with the Samsung Galaxy Edge 7, I got 1 terabyte of free storage with Microsoft.
Okay.
Like OneDrive. And so I thought, well, you know what? My Dropbox only has like 8 gig at the moment, or like 16 gig or whatever, something like that. And I know that I filled it a long time ago. Same with my current OneDrive, is only like 16 gig. So I may as well take on their free offer here, and maybe I'll just move over to all Microsoft services for a while and see what it's like. Because back in the day when I was like 11, I had a Hotmail account, pre-Outlook. And it was fine. It was my way of communicating. That was back in MSN days as well, and it was my main email account. Since then, I've moved on to several other email accounts, including my Ken at Ken Read one.
Yes.
However, that's not got its own client, and I tend to just forward stuff from that to either my Outlook one or to my Gmail or whatever. Anyway, long story short, I moved over to Outlook. Now, being inside that ecosystem is quite different from Google. And it's kind of a drastic change. Now, the thing I'm really having problems with is, what I first did is reversed my forwarding from Outlook to Gmail, so that instead of everything going to my Gmail, I had to do the opposite. So I told everything to instead now to go to my Outlook, to go to my Microsoft account. And I really like having a standalone bit of software. I really like having the actual Outlook program. That's nifty. I like that. I like it's always open. I like that it's there, and it feels nice writing emails in it. You know, it doesn't feel temporary. Like Gmail does. It feels like there's a solid thing that's always there, and it feels reliable. And it's offline as well, so that even if my internet dies, I can still look at my emails that I used to have.
And compose and do all kinds of things. Yep.
Yeah. So that's all cool. The problem with it is it's just I've tried like 15, 20 times on both my phone and on my work computer to attach the software version of Outlook to my custom email address of Ken at Ken Read. And it's just not doing it. I've contacted Just Host themselves, the people who I host with, for assistance.
Do they not have like pop settings or whatever kind of?
They have all that, and I'm putting in exactly, and it's just failing. It just says failed, unknown error, and I don't know why. And it's both my phone as well as the Outlook. It's not just in the same network. It's something I don't know what it is. It might. It's either my website's got something weird with it, or I don't know. So it's a complete pain because that's my main. You know, that's my professional email address as well. It's my personal one and my professional one. I use it for sending out emails to my colleagues, my peers, to students, as well as to friends and family and everything. I use it for absolutely everything. So the fact that I can't properly use it is a real pain. Secondly, I managed to link it up so they would send emails from there, because you have to set up as an alias or whatever. And I managed to set that up, or so I thought. But whenever I select from Ken at Ken Read instead of the default one, it says sent from Outlook 3479FJZ. Like this huge, disgusting email address at Outlook.com on behalf of Ken at Ken Read. It's like, that's not professional or nice. Like, I don't pay extra money for this really nice email address just to say on behalf of. That's crappy. I don't know why. I don't know if it's my own problem. I feel like I've put enough effort into this, and I know enough about this kind of thing that it shouldn't be this hard. For somebody who's doing a doctorate in computing science, this should not be a difficult thing. I don't feel it's my skill level that's the problem here. It must be the services available. It must be something to do with either Just Host or with Microsoft. But I don't like it. I'm unhappy, and I'm tempted to move back, even though I don't want to move back, just because I'm going to have to. So I just wanted to kind of moan about that.
So I sympathize. I do understand that sucks, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I also want to try and get into did you ever use OneNote? You ever tried using OneNote?
Not really. I'm aware of it, but I've never really utilized it, and so for me, I'm like, eh.
So I do a lot of like notepads, right? I write a lot on notepads. I take notes a lot of the time. But more than anything, I tell Google to leave me reminders. I'll say to Google, "Hey, Google, remind me of something or other tomorrow at 9 a.m., etc., etc." Yes. And that's something that's really invaluable to me. It actually, like, a large part of my day-to-day ongoings, like when I get home from work, my phone reminds me to let the chinchillas out so they can roam, and I'll forget otherwise. I really would. My phone tells me which bin on which week route needs to get put out on the curb so that it gets collected. Like, that kind of stuff, I just pass it on to a service, and I don't need to worry about it anymore.
I do similar, yes. I do it
That's
all
the way
through my calendar on iPhone. You know, that calendar is invaluable to me. I don't set necessarily reminders, like for please remind me. I do that on occasion, but normally just even through my phone's calendar, being able to beat me ahead of, oh, you need to go to this photo shoot, or hey, you need to drive this place. Oh,
yeah.
Crap, thanks, because I give myself enough time ahead of time that it reminds me before so I can get ready and go.
Because
So
it knows,
kinda,
right? It'll tell you traffic and stuff as well. That's a good thing.
well,
with
to a
Google,
degree,
is
and the
it'll
nice
tell
thing
you
is the
all
new way the Apple one does with it, it lets you put in your how long it takes you to drive there, just based on maps. And in doing so, you can set your reminder for that time frame, for X amount of time plus how much travel time you need, and stuff like
That's
that.
nice.
So it's actually pretty slick. I like it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
so
the
I
kind
do
of
the
thing
same
I like.
thing.
I rely on that as well, and so I tried to use Outlook's calendar on my phone, since that's the bit of software that came with it, and since it was now federally free since it came with my phone, whereas normally it
Okay.
costs money to use a
Yep.
proper Outlook client. And I thought, okay, I'll use this for my calendar. So I managed to download my Gmail's calendar onto it, and yeah, it reminds me, but it's not as smart. It's not got a smart AI behind it. So it just says, by the way, you've got this thing in 15 minutes, and that's it. So there's no intelligence behind it. When I want to actually go look at something in my calendar, the GUI is a pain. It'll zoom straight to today, and instead of giving me like a week's view, it only does this roster type thing that's just really clunky. There's no real swipe animation. I'm so used to be able to swipe back and forth. Like at the very left pane is the mail. If I should be able to swipe right and go into my calendar, because that's the next
Okay.
tab along. But it doesn't have that functionality. Instead, it'll end up trying to delete emails and stuff instead, because that's what the default swipe does. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want to just look at the next pane, as that would be the considering I've had smartphone for a very long time, that's what I would expect it to be the norm. That's what my instinct's telling me I should expect when I swipe here, is to go to the next tab. And so they've got this clunky thing where they don't quite understand how people work, I guess, how people generally
Actually
use
their
smartphones.
devices.
Yeah.
Well, it's the
so
classic thing,
that's
'cause-
all very annoying.
The problem is Windows, I always complain about this, Windows, Microsoft always seems to be more than a step behind Apple, because
Yeah.
notably Apple has some of the best UI elements, especially for their small tablature type devices, the phones and iPads and stuff like that. And it always seems like Microsoft's trying to copy them, but never quite gets what they do right. And so
Yeah,
they're always
that's
just a
accurate.
little off where you're like, no. And Microsoft, you know, it's funny because this goes back into their whole, just their Office suite and UI, where they said they went to the whole ribbon UI back in, 2013? And from that, it's been this level of, like, nobody likes it that I've ever talked to. But Microsoft swears they did some kind of market research that said, oh no, this is the things people use most. And
I think I actually told you that one is because I met the dude who came up with the ribbon idea.
oh, did you? Oh god.
Yeah, I met him at a conference, and
And you didn't punch him
Yeah,
in the
he-
face?
I basically said to him, why? Like why? This was when it just came out, it was just announced, and I had just played with the Windows 10 preview at the time, I think. Or maybe Windows 8 or Windows 7, actually, because it was quite a while ago. Anyway, I said all that, and he said, well, I know people are complaining about it a lot, but market research shows that everybody loves it. Our peer groups all said it was great. Like, he said they actually got, like, 100 people to sit down in groups of 5 or whatever, and everybody there said they loved it, and they said they loved the ribbon idea. And
I always think,
I don't know.
which people, who the hell did you talk to that
probably
gave you
like
these thumbs
people
up
in their
on it?
40s and 50s who haven't used computers before.
Ever, right? Not anybody who's ever used it as a daily part of their life, and thus having to transition into it. Like, you guys
Exactly.
are so terrible. So yes.
So yeah, that's a bit of a pain. Anyway, enough of that moan. I'd like to. I had another thing to bring up, but first of all, I've been something's popped up right in. But there's what's it called? Breaking news. Breaking news. So I wanna first of all thank Kopii for the very kind gift this week of, she put some time. Now she was very good, by the way. You'll be proud of her, Mr. Wayne.
okay.
She didn't spend a penny on me, which was very good of her. Instead, she asked me, like a few days ago, nonchalantly, I didn't think anything of it, if I'd put any time into the Brewfest quests in World of Warcraft. And I was like, oh no, I just haven't spent any time at all. I just don't tend to. I'm not a big fan of these events and stuff. But she knows I've been collecting pets. She knows I've been putting a lot of time into trying to like catch up, sort of thing. And so she did some grinding for like 3 days, and did like a bunch of dailies, I think, in order to get me a pet. in World of Warcraft, which was very kind. One that I would otherwise never have gotten. It's called the Stout Elemental, and it's a very sweet little thing. And I've got it right now running around beside me in the game. So thank you very much for that copy. That's very sweet.
Nice.
Now for that breaking news point, I want to thank Mr. Hando, because I just received a gift on Steam, Endless Space, which is something that I should not have gotten right now, Hando. I'm going to play that so much. It's a cool... Okay, so basically, you know how I got really into... Oh, shoot, what game was it?
What, Banished you got really into? What other ones do you think?
It was similar to Banished. It was the sort of like space version, almost. I can't remember what it's called. I'll tell you what, I'll pull it up here. I'll manage to find it. Anyway, it was a space game where it was a real-time strategy type game, and I played the absolute crap of it for a very long time. Scrolling through Stellaris.
Okay, gotcha.
It says only 52 hours, but I did that in like a week. just non-stop playing and in fact, it's because I didn't have a legitimate copy beforehand. So
gotcha.
I said this game is fantastic. I'm going to put real money into this, and did. So that's why. But anyway, I probably got hundreds of hours into that game, and I saw that Endless Space was pretty much the same thing, but a lot of people were arguing is better. So this is not going to be a good thing for my my free time. Thank you so much, Hando. It's very kind. I'll accept that right now. You're very kind.
Very nice.
So that was nice.
Always appreciative on like a birthday type thing to be able to get a couple gifts, and it's so easy to do so now with digital. So that is nice.
It's great. It's really nice. So I've also got £20 on Steam I got from some real life friends, which I have no idea what I'm going to spend on, to be honest. I've been looking through my wish list and I'm unsure. I feel like maybe I should wait till like the winter sale and then buy like 2 games with it.
That would work. Well, we should be close to the Thanksgiving sale here, so the Harvest Fall sale.
That's true.
But I forget when that all starts, but that should be coming soonish.
There's also so I've heard a lot. So I loved Shadow Warrior 1. I thought it was a really good game. It was really pretty and lots of fun. That came out this week, and it was already 20% off on Steam, I think. So I might actually get that. That's tempting. I saw a guy talking about it on Funny Junk, and I said to him, "Hey, like, is it as good as the first one?" And he's like, "Dude, it's so much better. You gotta get it."
Oh.
So random person online telling me I should get it. Now I'm tempted. It's funny how if a game reviewer said to me it was like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, that wouldn't
be
much
skeptical.
To me.
Yeah, you'd be kind of like, or maybe.
Random guy on a comedy meme website, and I'm like, yeah, I should definitely buy this now.
Oh, how we are influenced.
Yeah, it's silly. So I think I might actually pick up that just now. Anyway, so yeah, that's I think that's been my week. Let me check and see if there's anything I'm missing out here. I know I'm taking up a bit of time here. Oh crap, all my work. So I've been crazy busy this past week. So you know how my paper was accepted and all that good stuff.
Yes.
So once it's accepted, you're given a bunch of reviewer comments, and they say things like, "Oh, there's a problem here, there's a problem there. This is great, but you need to fix this bit here, etc."
Yeah,
etc.
it's getting it as polished as you can get.
Yeah, it's called getting a camera ready, is how they term it. So I've been doing that, and at the start of the week, I finished doing all the reviewer comments, and I thought it was perfect because I did everything that these experts in the field have told me to do, and I thought, cool, done, I'm sorted. And so I sent it off to all of my peers that I work with, people who sponsor me, the people the guy who's my supervisor,
basically
the guy
everybody.
My supervisor, yeah, everybody who's related to the project. And I said, hey guys, could you have a quick glance over this and make sure I didn't do anything stupid? Pretty much, like,
that's good.
Just
that's smart.
Check the checkups. And I was expecting like either like a majority of thumbs up, like that's fine, and maybe a couple spelling errors. That's what I was hoping for. So my sponsor came back and said, actually, that part you mentioned here, now that we've actually read it, we think that's confidential, and so you should probably remove it. Well, it didn't say confidential; it said sensitive information.
Yeah.
So you should probably remove that. And I was like, well, that's quite a big chunk of the reason I did that. It shows how difficult the problem is having that there, and removing it kind of makes my problem more trivial, and then people won't actually see that this is good research. But okay, I guess, like if I have to. Then like another one of my reviewers said, hey, you need to, like, I've deleted some stuff. Hope you're okay with that. And I looked at it, and he deleted about, like, a quarter of the whole paper.
Oh.
just chunks. To be fair, now all of the reviews and all of the criticisms were all pretty much removing stuff and stuff that I'm unhappy that happened in a selfish way, because my paper is not as long. My paper doesn't look as nice now, in my opinion. However, it's now more scientific. It's more on the ball. It's more what it should be. It's more correct. And so even though in a selfish way, I'm sad to see it diminish in size, etc. Realistically, it's a good thing because it means it's worth something more. It's worth more now. It's actually more scientific than it was before, and it's a scientific paper, and that's what I should be happy about. So I'm trying to So I've been
trying
all
to find
weekend,
the good. Yes.
What I've been doing is taking all these like 4 different people's, or 4 different groups, I should say, inputs, and changing the paper to meet all their needs, and that's been pretty tough because some of them like overlap and. Anyway, yesterday I finally did all that. So I got all the changes. Then I got the critique on all the changes and fixed those, and that's all done. I sent it off yesterday, and one of the reviewers said to me, "Oh, there's severe problems in the hardest part of your paper."
What?
And I was like, "How has this not been caught through?" It's like imagine that you had, I don't know, I'm trying to. I can't even think of a good example. Imagine you had a giant net, and you're trying to filter out these crumbs from this large piece of rock or something, right? Like all these little pebbles and stuff, and you drop it on the net, and then the net catches, like a bunch of the pebbles are filled through, and you're like, great, okay. And then you do it again with another net, and you're like, okay, cool, that should be it. And you do it again, but then suddenly chunks fall off. It's like, how did that happen? It made no sense. It was just so. Anyway. So I've been told, and my supervisor is the one who said this, and so he's now agreed to look into getting me a 2-day extension to the conference, which has now been accepted, which is good. But it's just a pain in the butt because I thought that was done. You know, I thought it was over done with.
You'd already basically turned that off. Like, don't even gotta worry about it now.
Yeah. And I'd spent the whole weekend finishing off again, only to find that I've got another 2 days of this. It's just a pain in the butt.
Ouch.
Is all. Again, it's a good thing that's happening. It's a good thing these things are getting caught. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about the help I've gotten. These guys have been fantastic and very useful and using their expertise to help me. However, I'm just sad that I couldn't pass it through and be done with it already.
Are you at the point yet where you're just not going to ask people anymore? You're just going to be like, nope,
I was thinking I should have said it. I should have just published it. I'd be done. I'd be happy now. Feet up, and it'd be no problem.
Yep.
So that was a pain. But anyway, yes. So other than that, I think that's everything this week. Yeah. That should do. That should do.
Okay.
So, sir, how has your week been?
Oh, well, let's see. As we had jokingly talked about, I don't know how to relax, don't know how to take a break, and that's usually the case and continues to be the case. So this weekend, essentially, I started off with, for my non-geek, doing photography again, where I don't take a lot of photography just for myself like I should, but I've been doing a lot of photography for other people when I'm asked, and I have a hard time saying no when friends of mine ask me for help. And in this case, in the last week, essentially, I had been asked to do set of photos up in Estes Park next weekend. That would be very difficult because I'm going to go from a party I'm throwing that night to the next morning having to get up at like 6 to drive 2 hours up to the mountains, to hike up a hill, to take photos, to then come back down, fly back down, to try to get to town, to get changed out, and look like a zombie so I can go down to zombie crawl next weekend. So that'll be fun. This weekend, though, what happened is I was talking to another friend who is going through trying to plan some stuff to basically get hitched, and in doing so, wanted to get some engagement photos. And so I had asked real, quickly, just like, hey, would you by any chance be free this Saturday? So I was like, yes, I actually believe I am. And so we talked about it a little bit, and they were like, hey, come here. And so I went out to a park here in Denver, which is actually quite lovely, Washington Park, downtown. Really large park that I haven't seen for a long time. I've only gone for a couple little like cosplay meetups and things like that there, but never really explored the park. It's actually quite nice. So we're up by the little lake they have there, a little pond kind of thing, and they have some little paddle boats, stuff like that. Met there to do some photos. Absolutely gorgeous, but we were talking about like the relax, ability to just take time to relax or something, how I can't. I was sitting there, And because I'd gotten there slightly earlier than them due to traffic, I sat in the park for a minute and just kind of enjoyed it, like looking like, oh, this would be a lovely place to have a picnic or something and just kind of hang out. This is so nice. It's a beautiful day out.
Yeah.
And instead of just sitting there and truly enjoying it, I started walking around scouting for where we were going to do the shoot so I could get that done quick. And so I more just thought how nice it would be to relax and not.
To be fair,
relax.
walking about. Okay, so some people have different understanding of what relaxing is. Like, relaxing shouldn't be what the society tells you is relaxing. Relaxing should be what you think is relaxing. Now, clearly, you don't enjoy sitting still and just watching people go by.
I do.
You're clearly more the kind of person who enjoys walking around and even preparing with stuff. And to be fair, a casual walk around a park is hardly work either.
Well,
Even if you are scouting for a place, you know,
but
you're
there's
still
a difference.
relaxing.
There's a difference because I mean, I sat on the bench for a little while, like yay, but I kept thinking like, well, I could be more efficient if I was actually looking at where to shoot now instead of waiting for them to get here and then kind of talk through it, and that would take time. So instead, I actually went and I scouted the park, and so even where I could have been sitting and relaxing, I didn't because I'm dumb. But anyhow, took photos, had a lot of fun. They're a silly couple. That I've known for a while now from the dancing stuff I'd done at the West Coast Swing. And it all went off really nice. Although, I will tell you, there's a stress there because much like shooting weddings and things like that, shooting engagement photos or anything else like that, or even to some degree senior pictures and stuff, these are things that people are specifically asking for because they're going to get prints done and send it out to lots of people. And so I get a little more, not stressed, but definitely a different focus when shooting these kind of photos.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
It's
crap,
people glancing. Whoa,
oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. These are the, oh, crap, I need to actually make sure they're good. Versus just me
somebody
shooting
glancing
pictures.
and go, no, that's nice. Versus saying, this is going to be my wall for years. Yeah, I can see why that's stressful, of course.
So,
I've done wedding shoots before. Yeah, it's always
so I'm
stressful.
mostly happy. I have to go through and do some editing and stuff from that, but I'm mostly happy with that one. But then I went directly from that shoot downtown to another park that's right in the middle of downtown, which had a group of cosplayers meeting up for their 4th annual DC vs. Marvel photo shoot. And so they always do it in October, hopefully before like the zombie crawl, which was originally supposed to be next week, but that's the zombie crawl. They don't want to be around that. Or, around Halloween itself. So usually this time of year. And they get together at the park, and basically everyone comes in either a DC or Marvel character costume for a big set of photo shoots where then photographers show up, and basically it's everybody donating time. So we give the shoots for free, and the cosplayers show up for free, so nobody's getting paid. It's just kind of as a big group for fun thing.
It's just fun. It's just fun at that point. There's no stress either, you know?
Well, but the problem was I got there, and I admittedly sat there for a while, and it's just like, I'm so done. I'm not even, like, really amped up right now. I just did all this, like, hard shoot with the engagement photos. Now I'm trying to do a fun shoot. I'm not even in it. So it took me a long time of socializing and hanging out with people before I finally grabbed my camera and was like, all right, let's go shoot some stuff real quick, and then all right, you. But I was so lackadaisical about it compared to what I normally am. I felt a little bad, but I did come out with some good photos.
Show as well. That's not necessarily a bad thing to be relaxed during a shoot. Like that'll show off on your victims, on your the people you're taking photos of as well.
The people I'm shooting. And so it is what it is. But it was still fun. It just took me a bit to go. So I finished that, and now I have all these photos I have to edit. That thankfully I'm going to try to keep going sooner than later because I'm trying to not fall behind on photo shoots anymore. I hate that. I caught up with some old ones. I need to finish up with more, and I still have an old one or two that are hanging out. So I need to stick and keep up with these. And then, and actually, Kuro, you're saying you feel like you've been neglecting your photography skills. I understand. I actually have a group of people on Facebook that are trying to do a photography class that I said I'd be a part of, and I only watched the first seminar, and I don't know if we're supposed to be doing it weekly, but I hadn't seen any more updates in that page. And so I haven't been going through these classes. I got so many little side projects that are admittedly all hobbies and fun, but make me feel like I'm just constantly busy. Anyhow, so did that. What else did I do? So I shot the cosplay thing. That took actually more of the day because I got there about 2, didn't get back home until about 8:30 or so. So I shot a bunch there, kind of hung out with them. But I think I got some really good photos, so I'm happy about that because some of the people I work with are really good models that I enjoy working with.
That's good. That's good.
Also,
a good model makes a huge difference.
Oh, it's amazing. So that was me doing photography. The other thing is I actually got something, and I didn't think about it. I'd seen it posted that from an email saying I had something that I had kickstarted finally shipping. And
nice.
I didn't think about it until I got a message from, oh shoot, I don't want to say his actual name. What's his online name? It's been so long since I've said it. Alpha Geek Radio days, our other bearded friend.
You mean WC Radio days?
Well, no. Well, so since then, and used to follow us a lot more, but years ago. Shoot.
Oh, Barry VA.
Yeah, Barry. Yeah, Barry VA.
Oh.
He messaged me and said, "Hey, I got the camera thing that we both kickstarted." I was like, "What?
Right.
Oh,
Well,
what?"
that's because he kickstarts every single thing on Kickstarter.
Well, so what it
see,
is?
I had to turn off
I'm equally
emails from
bad.
that because he was my only friend on Kickstarter, and and literally every week I'd have multiple emails with him kickstarting stuff. He just drops his money in a Kickstarter for some reason. But anyway, sorry. On you go.
No, but there's like, so what I ended up getting, and it's on top of my camera, this little, what would look like a flash controller or something like that, sitting in the hot shoe, and it plugs in the camera. What it is it's a Bluetooth-enabled camera controller called a Pulse.
Ooh.
And what it does is essentially it's a wireless Bluetooth shutter controller / time lapse / it actually can control your camera settings. So your shutter speed, your ISO level, all those things through an app on your phone. And it can even take a quick shot and send you a preview of the image so that you can get an idea of what it is you're about to see and shoot before you shoot it.
Hey.
And it's designed where it has about a 24-hour battery life, and so you can do some long exposures or some good time lapses, where once you've configured it to do what you want it to do, you don't need to be connected to it anymore. The Pulse does it itself. And so you can just set up a camera and have it shoot for 24 hours time lapse, however it is you want.
That's really cool.
So it's why I got it. It was like $80 or something when I picked it up, because I have other triggers and stuff that I've used from wired ones and stuff, but being able to have one that's wireless so that I can just set it aside on a tripod, not touch it, and use the shutter control for my phone, I'm very excited for. So I went after hearing that Barry VA had got his and went up to mailbox, checked, and sure enough, mine was in there, and I had just finished charging it. I tried it out real quick today, just kicking it on to make sure it worked, and I'm excited to kind of play with some photography with that now since I have new hardware. So that should be interesting.
That is always fun. I forgot to mention one of the things I got was a wired remote as well. So
Yes.
if I have it on a tripod, I can do the same thing. But I wanted a wired one because I already have the flash, the remote flash, and the camera on battery as it is. I didn't want to have a fourth thing to have to worry about batteries with. So,
Fair.
yeah,
And this
sorry.
is one that
Yeah.
just it charges through USB. And it
that's
has the
useful.
camera shoe theme, but you could just actually connect it to anywhere because it doesn't need the power from the camera to run. And so
cool.
it's got its own built-in battery. It just has a convenient mount there, but you could also hook it up with whatever kind of mount on your tripod or next to something or via double-sided tape. I mean, really, whatever. It just has to have the wired connection to the USB slot on the camera so that it can actually control the camera. That's what I really like about it is it's actually not just a shutter control, but actually changes the settings on the camera from a distance, which is actually
That's
kind of
nifty.
slick. That's kind of slick. And
I've never heard of that before, actually. That's
well, it's
really
something
nice.
I'd only heard with this Kickstarter, and it's funny is now that I've gotten it, I saw another Kickstarter for essentially the same thing, a different version, on my social media where I was like, well, wow, looks like a good idea taking off. Very cool. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting, and I'm looking at like, that'll be fun to play with. And yes, I need to Kuro get some like multiple flash triggers so I can actually start using flashes correctly. Because even with the shoot yesterday, it's so bad. The lighting conditions are starting to drop, and I reaffirm that I hate using a flash now. I absolutely hate it. I love natural light, and I'm actually quite happy with what I'm able to do with natural light. I only use the flash to do some creative things, which were to, at one point the background was well lit, and the building that was behind us was just, the clock tower looked gorgeous in the sun. And I wanted to get both the subject ahead and the light, but because, again, a camera can't do HDR by itself, I use the flash to fill on the person and then still capture the light of the building behind, which I like. I mean, you get a off-color thing so you know it's not equal, but you still get
It's
the
still
image.
better than nothing.
Yeah,
it's
and
still
so
better
to-
than having black at the front and then the building's great, or
Exactly. And
the
there's-
building's just too white. And yeah.
Yep. So there's so many little photography tricks you can do like that. So I did do that, and that was fun. Anyhow, so that's my little bit of photography, and I've got more coming up, so it's just been wow.
Very
And I even
nice.
had another person where maybe I put the vibes out there because I kind of said I've been spending all this money, I need to make some back. Maybe I should do something with my photography. I've suddenly been like contacted by multiple people to come do shoots for them that are all paid events,
Very
so I actually
good.
can be happy about that. Family portraits to you name it, just a lot of people saying, hey, are you going to have time soon for this or time for this? I was like, maybe. And so
That's very cool.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's always a pressure with paid stuff, obviously.
Oh, God,
But, no, there's a couple people in the IRC as well saying that they wanted to do some more photography as well. I think Kuro was saying it as well.
We could revive.
Perhaps, yeah, we could revive the photography contest. We could do it monthly again if you were interested. Because I killed it off last time because I think the last 2 submissions before I killed it only had myself and one other person. And it was a case of...
It tends to be you and I that were most prolific.
Yeah.
And then a few other
It's
people.
okay,
that
that's
did
fine.
it. Well, what we need to do is we just need to tell all of our photography friends so that we have another
true.
place to advertise it outside of just VTW. But
I don't really have any photography friends. To be
what?
honest,
Oh,
though.
I have so many.
Yeah.
Well, that's the funny part
You're
with
such a social person.
Well, yeah, there is that. With the DC Marvel shoot, when I showed up there, it was funny because last year we had maybe 4 or 5 photographers and like 30 cosplayers. When we showed up this time, we had like 7 or 8 photographers and like 8 cosplayers or 6 cosplayers or something initially.
That's it.
Yeah, initially, but they rolled in and we got more as the day went. But it's funny because it's like, holy crap, we got more photographers than people. Well, you
I
guys
like
are all
that, though.
getting photos.
Have you ever followed around another photographer at a wedding or whatever? Like say you're at a
Not
wedding and
really.
somebody's hired the main photographer.
I've
and you
almost
follow them
always
around?
been the main. I'm almost always the prime.
Oh, I've been the prime a few times as well. But
Well, I think I've always been.
It's surprising, and you learn a lot from following somebody else around because you're forced to take the photos of what they're taking photos of.
Oh, yeah.
So their lighting, their setting, their whatever they tell the model to do, etc. And that's brilliant because you can suddenly do a lot. You suddenly do something you wouldn't normally do, and you can see why it's a good thing sometimes to do what
Oh,
they're
yeah.
doing, etc.
Oh, no,
It's a learning point.
I love the idea, and I've always talked about we never accomplished it, was getting a bunch of us photographers together, go on some nature hikes or just shoots where we all go together to learn from just shooting instead of paying a class or something. We've always talked about it, just never done it. It's so bad. Just need to do it. Anyhow, so before we get to the break here, finish up real quick that other things I did. Actually, I'll do one thing before, and then we'll take a break, and I'll come back and do another thing. I say this. Did I actually set up music for the break? Oh, I was totally going to do that. So, yeah,
That's somewhat important.
let me
The dead air is not great for
really
listeners.
quick grab. We'll say not a long one, something like this. It'll be from OC Remix today, since I'm doing some other things. But we'll do that, and then come back with after the break. So, yeah. All right. So real quick before the break, just letting people know that I also worked on my Miata because having it be my only means of transportation, I decided to continue to try to make it as reliable as possible, right? And so I finally changed out all the brakes on my car. So got new calipers all the way around it. Like I told you before, it was leaking as I found more and more pieces apart. So I got that all sorted, taken care of it. So now the car will stop somewhat reliably. I may survive. It was interesting because having all new brakes like that all the way around, it took a few good stops before it really is predictable. So there's a couple moments where it's like, I need to stop. I hit the brakes and it was like, no, I need to stop. And it was still like kind of burning off top coats of layers before it grabbed.
Oh, jeez.
So a little bit like,
Ugh.
oops. But now I've driven enough to break it in that it's okay. So that's nice. And in doing so, I also learned other things like I repatched again the hole on my turbo, which hopefully is going to hold better this time because I keep learning better ways to do it. But it still
That's good.
hasn't ever
That's good.
held 100%, so that's still been a challenge. And I fixed a hole that I found in the output from the intercooler. So when the turbo boosts and pushes more air into the intake, it goes to the intercooler to cool the air temperatures down again. And as it was coming out, there was a hole coming out of the, not the intercooler itself, but the pipe coming right out of it. So a lot of the
You were telling me
boosted
that,
air
yeah.
was just getting pushed out into the atmosphere. So I patched that up. So hopefully the car is going to start, acting a little better. We'll see. So far, it's been all right. Still don't trust taking it up to Estes Park next weekend. I may have to do something else, but for the most part, happy. So we'll see. Anyhow, It is time for us to take a break. We'll come back. I've got a little more to talk about just real quick, and then we will get into our geek cred. So, with this break, you're going to listen to a clip of music from gaming from our friends at OC Remix, because we love all the work that people put into some great classic game stuff there. See if people can recognize the song before it pops up. Well, it'll pop up in the IRC and you'll see it before, but you recognize yourself. All right, with that, you're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. Ken and I will be right back after this break, about 3 minutes, just over. So, see you shortly.
And you're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. Send in your emails to showx at vtwproductions.com.
There we go. Try to get all things sorted correctly this time. Let's see. So, before leaving, I said I had two more things I want to talk about real quick before we get into our geek cred. The two things was I got to send out a big shout out to Tasty Meat, Matt Woods. He is about to leave town again. He and his wife are going to head out to the Seattle area, I believe. Or it might be Oregon. I think more Portland. Portland's probably where they're going to end up. And just, he's always been a good friend and fan and part of our LAN parties in here because he provided amazing food. But he is heading out, and I gotta give him props. It's actually partly because what I am drinking today, thanks to him, is he dropped off, like he did last time he left, all of the liquor he's accumulated so that he doesn't have to transport it with him as he travels and moves. So he and his wife stopped by, and yes, many a bottle, an entire laundry basket filled with liquor. And so I'm having a
What a burden he's left you.
He
Jeez.
has. Another good reason for me to have this party this weekend. But a orange cream vodka with orange juice. So I'm having an orange cream screwdriver this morning. So
That sounds very tasty.
it is quite tasty, actually. It's kind of nice. So shout out to him for that. All right, the other thing I was going to say, it is absolutely election season here. We've talked about a little bit with the what we haven't tried to talk politics here, is that's not our point. But I wanted to bring up one of the cool features that we have here, at least in Colorado, and I think a lot of other places do, which is I know it's season because I finally got my blue book, which in Colorado it is our literature we have that talks about every one of the issues on the ballot, not just who to vote for a presidential election, because there's other things going on as well, both for our state, just in our county and stuff like that, as well as electing officials, judges, things like that throughout. And so I love this thing because it's a nonpartisan, both sides get to vet, where it just gives you the information about whatever it is they're trying to pass. It gives you a breakdown from each side, their opinion, what's good and bad about it, as well as the language of the actual thing itself, so you can read the legalese language and decide for yourself what that means. And it lets you do kind of a checkbox thing, so as you go through, read, do the research, you can kind of say, well, that's how I'm going to vote on this one or that one based on what I've read. And so it's just a great resource. And
Assuming it is actually non-partisan, because I don't know if I truly believe that as a...
Well, it's vetted by both sides, by both conservatives and liberals, where they have to agree on the language. Both sides have to agree that, and it's both, and that's on the voting for people, but it's actually on both sides of the issue. So if someone who's against multiple people who are against and for every proposition, and so with those, they have to agree that the language they're saying is accurate and not just opinion based. But then they have a section that says, here's why people say it's good or bad. And then it's both sides. It's always come across super balanced. Because, again, the people who are proponents will be like, oh, we need more money for schools. And the other side will be like, actually, in the past, these bills, when they go up, the taxes don't stipulate it has to be used for school. It can really be used for anything. So they may use it for school, but there's nothing that legally binds them to use it for the schools. And so it does that kind of thing.
Interesting. That's good. That's good.
It's really solid.
If it actually is non-partisan, I'm all for it.
It's awesome. I've had it the entire time I've lived here and voted, and it's always been, in my opinion, a great resource.
That's good. I just know how corrupt the U.S. presidential election is.
That's a whole different level. This is down at a local county level and such, and it's much different because it's not just for officials. The elected officials, it doesn't say anything about them. It just has the names. But when it talks about the actual propositions and laws, that part it's just completely balanced about. So it's really cool. But it's definitely that season. I have them in, so I need to spend this week or so researching the bejesus out of it so I can be an informed voter. Let alone going out and now having to research because I'm getting all the political mail from congressmen type things that who to vote for as well as president. So yeah, yay, yeah. That's fun. Anyhow, that's that piece.
So annoying.
Yeah, it's something. So now it is time for us to transition over and actually talk about a things geek. And so with that,
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
So Ken, your geek cred for the week.
Well, sir. Jeez, what am I up to in geek-wise? I've reinstalled a few apps on my phone that I used to have on my old phone, or I got rid of because I got bored, or whatever else. And I tried a couple new ones as well. So let me go through some of these. And yes, I have probably temporarily left the video while I do this. Sorry, folks. Okay, so I installed an app called Corridor Z or Corridor Z. Okay. It's a zombie running game, so kind of like there's another one. What's that called?
Like every running game except this one has zombies.
Oh, it's not actually like you. It's not a running simulator like all those other games that are out there. Where you actually go running called Zombies Run, right? That's a separate one.
No. I mean, there's a lot that are they're the corridor type ones. So you're not actually running. You have a character that just kind of runs. And then you hit a button normally for them to go one direction or another, and maybe pick up an item or jump. So that's what I mean.
That. This one's a bit different though because the only real difference between the other ones is that it's facing the front, so you're facing the dude running towards you instead.
Oh, so you can't chasing
you. So you only see the zombies behind you and how close they are. And instead of choosing directions, really, you do that to an extent. Like you do have to turn left and right occasionally. but it's majorly about how you throw obstacles in front of the zombies.
Gotcha. So it's not just
So
you
it's a slightly
avoiding
different take on
things.
it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
However, I didn't particularly enjoy it. I played it for 2 minutes and I uninstalled it. Yeah,
Did it even meet your 1-day threshold?
Nope.
It's a we should make a category for things like that, for how quickly you will drop things off a device when you're done with it. Something that says, so this only got a 5-minute review because it's garbage, or this made it 2 days, or this made it like a week.
Nothing's ever made a 5-minute on me. It's either like a 30-second, a 1 minute, a 2 minute, or I've played for hours. Because I know straight away. I mean, maybe it's my experience. Maybe it's my games I've played. Maybe I know straight away. But there's certain games I can just tell. I'm like, this is going to be crap. It's gone. And when I can tell it's good, I'm like, this is quite good. I'm going to enjoy this for a few hours now, and I do.
Nice.
So I also got Grow Castle. This is one that you might remember me talking about, I think, last year. Because I did get a while ago. And I got bored of it because I got to the later levels, and, well, it was repetitive at that stage. It's basically, you have a castle, you upgrade it. You upgrade your archers, you get like heroes, you get special towers, and you just defend your castle. And it gets to a point where it's just, you're only upgrading, you're no longer building new stuff, because there's only so much space on the screen, right?
Yes.
So once it gets to that stage, I just sort of gave up and moved on. However, this time I've installed it. I just wanted to kind of play it for 10 minutes and see if I was interested or not again. But I've noticed they've got a bunch of new stuff inside it. Not a huge amount, but there's a few new features that made me think, you know what, I'm interested in trying it out. So I'm giving it a shot again. I've enjoyed it for about 20 minutes so far. The other app that I think I mentioned last week, where just to talk about the fact that I still have it, more importantly, is Traffic Rider. So it's generic driving game. Avoid the cars in front of you. Except this time you're a freaking motorbike. That's the only difference.
Gotcha.
And that's. So again, it's not particularly unique. It's nothing special. It's just a driving game and fun. It's quite fun. It's just based entirely on your reaction times of moving things out of the way, and it's all right. It's not. I'm not saying it's the best game out there. I'm not saying that it's something you should definitely go get. And in fact, it's kind of annoying because it has quite a lot of in-app buy this crap,
I hate those.
so you can upgrade your bike or whatever. Yeah, I hate that as well. But you know what? When I'm sitting on the toilet or I'm sitting on the bus or whatever else for like 2 minutes, it's all right. It's no problem. I can do that for a while. So whatever. So those are the I just want to get those out of the way. The games I've been playing. I've not read anything. I've not watched a thing this week.
Okay.
And all that I've played otherwise is World of Warcraft.
No, that's
so. Let me talk a little bit about that. So I've been playing for the past, few hours today. I played on my shaman because I've been playing with Kopii and doing some dungeons, and that's the easiest way to get her to level up. Is if I do the heals and she does the deeps. So that's been fun. I haven't wiped us at all, which is good.
That's good.
I had a big collection of like 15,000 gold that I'd saved up on my main character. And I thought to myself, you know what, why have I got this here? I've not even got any plans for it. So I looked around, I thought, what's my main goal of what I'm trying to do right now in WoW is make it easier for my alts to level up. So I've been doing, on my main character, on my Demon Hunter, what I've been doing is I've been doing a lot of garrison stuff so that I can eventually get Draenor pathfinding so that I can unlock flying in Draenor, so that once my alts get to that level, they can fly around to the quest really quickly and it's nice
because
and simple.
Because essentially, does everybody get it? All your alts get it with one?
Exactly. No, they don't all get it. They all right now to actually get flying. Like I don't have flying in Draenor at all. To get flying in Draenor, you have to do this still pretty tough achievement, which involves doing lore master, exploring everywhere.
But that's the thing. Once I'm saying those, once you get that, though, do all your alts get it?
They get the achievement, but they don't get the flying. You still have to pay for it in each alt. But yes.
But it unlocks the ability.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's what I'm doing is trying to do that. But it's dull. Like you have to get exalted with a bunch of different factions. And
I always
quests
hated that mechanic.
Oh yeah, it's the worst part of Warcraft.
Well, honestly,
really
the one problem I always had with WoW and so many other games, I have never done faction. I have hated faction quests, mostly because it wasn't Horde or Alliance. It was these subcategory BS whatever groups that I did not care about. Like, why do I have
Well,
to go
sometimes I
make the
do.
walrus people like me? Or why do I have to go make, you know...
I hate walrus people.
What I'm saying, right? Why do I... Oh, so that I can just fish at this special fish thing. Or do... It's just so... I understand the lore aspect of it, but because it's such a grindy game, it always bugged the crap out of me that I have to literally just... Another grind mechanic. It's not that I just have to go do all of their quest line, which I'd actually be fine with, right? If all I had to do was a quest line, and I got whatever... They like me now because I saved their kid or whatever. But no, you have to then go kill X many of this, X many of that, to just keep grinding it up.
If it was killing, it'd be no problem. It's dailies that kill me. It's the same quest over and over that makes me really bored.
Well, or having to grind the same quest. Anything repetitive, which is just like... God, just let me do the one heroic act so they trust me, instead of the...
Yeah.
Look, I continue to beat on that same respawning mob that you hate.
Kill him
just
7,000 times.
Yes, it just broke because there were so many times where people were like, what are you doing? Grinding faction? Ugh. Guess what I'm not going to do with you today? Sorry, that's just me ranting.
So, well, the good thing about I actually kind of like the fact that it's behind this virtual wall they've created, because you know what, flying around in an area that makes the game super easy is freaking dull, right? What is the point in having and unlocking like that sort of ability to fly? Same with the new expansion, you can't fly at all yet. It's still not available, and it's not going to be for some time. And I imagine all of us are stuck behind this virtual achievement block or something. Good thing, because it makes you have to go and explore. It makes you have to earn it.
Well, because
instead of it being easy to start, it makes you actually feel you're doing something in the game. It's that achievement sort of feeling. It's nice.
Well, I like that, but again, I want it to be a constant progression.
I agree. They could definitely go away with the grinding stuff and more onto maybe some maybe mix it up a little bit at least.
The only grinding one I kind of liked in WoW was opening the gates to Sirithus, or the ones down there, where everyone was having to do the warbanding and each the Alliance and Horde to see who could open up first by gathering enough materials of each kind. I like that one because you could have something that you just have to be somewhere and you gathered a crap ton of cloth or something, whatever it was that you had. And you're like, alright, I'm not actually going to use this, so let me go donate it to the cause. And you'd see your numbers bounce up, and because they had changed the world to show that everyone was building things, so it felt like there was this massive war element going on. That I actually liked. What?
Back in my
day,
I remember when if you wanted to get faction rep back in my day, you didn't just wear a tabard and do dungeons as you would normally do. You had to go collect a shit ton of rune cloth and hand that in repeatedly.
Yeah, and you had to go buy off. You had to go buy off a faction. Look, I did all your work for you.
So much. And it was all just to get like a blue trinket. Because rares were a big thing back in Classic.
Oh, God, I hate that mechanic. I so hate it. Yeah.
So funny. But it would save you gold in the long run because then it'd be cheaper to get mounts, which were only worth like 10 gold. But that was a lot back then. Anyway, so the Draenor Pathfinder, that achievement, I'm looking at it just now, and it says that you need to explore all the areas. That was quite an easy one. I got that early on. Lore Masters, you have to do all the quests. That's expected. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm
as well.
fine with that. That's just doing the quest. That's fine.
Master Treasure Hunter, again, totally okay with this. It's quite easy actually. It's discover 100 treasures of Draenor. So there's 100 secrets that are around the place. There are something like 1,000. So finding 100 is not a problem. You
gotcha. So as long as you don't have to find all of the specific secrets, you just have to get that many overall. I'm okay with.
I've gotten 100 just in Tanan Jungle.
Yeah, so like I said, that's
one of
fine.
the 6 areas or whatever. So you know that kind of shows. Now the other two, they're really. I've got those 3 so far. There's 2 objectives that I need to do, which is finish the assault quests. So these are the dailies that randomly spawn within your keep, like the assault on Sokrathar's Rise, assault on Sketis, assault on Shatrath Harbor. Okay. You only need to do it once, but you need to check each day. And I'm really bad at this. I'm really bad at checking which ones I haven't done, and so I've done like the same one like 3 times, and I'm like, damn it, why did I do that? And finally, yeah, the one that you hate, which and I agree is a pain in the ass, is the Tanan Diplomat. So you need to earn revered reputation, not exalted, revered, with all 3 factions in Tanan Jungle. Basically, go do all the dailies with Tanan like 3 months in a row. That's basically what that means. But in the end, you get Draenor flying, and you get a special mount, the Soaring Sky Terror.
I mean, that's fine. It's just it bugs me that those are the mechanics. But that's just me. But again, I don't play MMOs. There's a lot of tropes of MMOs I don't like, so I understand.
Yes. So that's been fun as well. I've also been playing. So that's my ongoing task right now. That's not really the fun part, but that's again the feeling of achievement, right? That's a bit of a different thing. So my list of what I've been playing has increased quite a lot. So I've got my Paladin up to level 2 now. I've got my Rogue up to level 5. Let me tell you their names as well. Bright Glow, the Paladin.
Okay.
Romanoff, the level 5 Rogue, who's a red-headed human girl.
Oh, jeez.
Do you get my reference? There's an Avengers reference there.
I do.
I've got Atsurak, which I think was an old god's name or something. Atsurak, where did I get that from? I stole it somewhere. Atsurak. Let me Google it. Oh, Furies of Calderon. I stole it from that book. Okay. So I like that book. It's my level 6 hunter. I've got Gnawtooth, my level 13 Worgen druid, my freaking furry. I literally he's a druid intentionally so that I could play him in cat form and never have to see his normal form.
So you can be a furry on top of furry on top of furry? Wow, so Ken's going curry inception. You're getting all deep into the furry realm now, Ken. You didn't even just kind of tip a toe in. You're going like several level deeps. Wow.
It cancels each other out. I just
the
the way I
cancels.
can.
I think that's
I'm
like
not a half man, half.
Oh no, that's like
weirdo.
a Worgen riding a druid as an elk kind of inception, Ken.
No.
That totally is. I hung out
Even
with
though you were
some
just
furries
messing
yesterday.
with me, it still freaks me out. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want anything to do with furries. They do their own thing. Go where. Do what you want in your own homes. I don't want to see it. Okay.
You're on the wrong server for that kind of opinion, Ken.
Yeah, that's true. I've got my level 30 mage called Magus.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I'm surprised I got that one. Magus.
I love how much effort you put into your names. Yes, continue.
I've got my level 54 priest now, who's my gnomish priest, Fizzlewitz.
Okay.
Which is a good name again. It's a very gnomish name. I've got Deathstride, my level 59 Death Knight.
Oh god.
Isn't that a good name? That's a good name, isn't it?
That's someone who likes to go about a lot of walkabouts at night or something.
It's like some. He's
an emo marathoner.
During the quest line, you like I don't know if you remember, but when you're doing the Death Knight quest line, when the civilian is near the end of it when you're helping the Lich King do the evil stuff.
Yes.
You walk into this like barracks and you're told to kill some prisoners or whatever, and you get there and there's somebody of your own race who's like, "Name, it's you. How could you turn and help them? I know there's good in you. You can do it. Just break through. You can do it. But kill me because otherwise they'll kill both of us, and then you have to kill her, right? And that's fine. Whatever. That's cool part of the storyline." But because my card was called Deathstride, this random person was like, "Deathstride, is that you?" It's like, clearly I was already destined to be a Death Knight at that point if my name has always been Deathstride. So it was just a bit silly. I've got Epictetus, named after the Stoic philosopher, my level 105 shaman who's currently resto. And I've got Acherin, my level 110 Demon Hunter. So I've got quite a lot of alts now. It's no longer just like my one character, my two characters, and a bunch of level 1s. I've actually got a nice range. So
Nice.
I keep saying to Kopii, whenever you want to play any alts, just give me a shout. I should have something somewhere that can at least it's either there or needs to just catch up, and then I'll be ready to go. So it's good fun. So yeah, I've been really enjoying playing WoW.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's interesting to play some of the classes that I used to play a lot. Like my main used to be a mage, and so when I go back and playing a mage now, it's just a bit weird because the mechanics have changed, the classes changed a fair bit, and some of the things I remember are still there, like instant cast pyroblast, which is nice. So I can still turn a corner and just throw a big rock of flame and death towards somebody I dislike, which is cool. But yeah, it's just a little bit different. Like, for example, now mages can blink twice in a row if they put a talent into Shimmer, which I had no idea. So you can just go blink, blink, and that's really powerful in PvP, I imagine.
Yeah, she was.
Also, even though you learn all your spells as you go along now, whereas you used to have to go to the trainer, you still need to go to the trainer to learn portals for mages, which is weird. But that's just the way it is.
Interesting.
It's just interesting.
There are some mechanics they've definitely changed out with stuff like that, because there are characters or things you no longer have to even bother with. I'm kind of like, oh, but I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny
it's been
because
fun.
I've also heard a lot about WoW from Kopii and talking a lot about how it seems as though maybe there's a magical formula that has something to do with you moving to Moonguard and Kopii there as an anchor, because it sounds like so many people who have either come back to the game or have just decided it was time for them to do a change of pace and go to a different server have moved to Moonguard, almost all independently. Because it sounds like some of other Kopie's friends have moved to Moonguard as well. We had that Agris SW has moved to Moonguard. You're on Moonguard now. And so there's like this whole group, and it's funny how many people around our community that are moving to Moonguard, but aren't all like part of one guild or something. They're all doing their own thing, but they all somehow have found their way to Moonguard. So maybe there's some kind of magical pull to the ability to get together with all kinds of interesting individuals there and roleplay or something. I don't know. It's
Maybe.
I'm kind of curious in that. And actually, speaking of just WoW in general, real quick, we got an email into the show about Geek Cred, and it is from our friend Hando.
Hey.
And it specifically starts out and says, "Hey X-Men, quick summary of the last few months, because it's been a while since he's written into us."
It's true.
And it says, watched the Warcraft movie and finally realized who they made it for. Me! It says, in my library forever. Say, did sound for William Shatner and Frank Miller at Boston Comic Con. Did not get to talk to them. That sucks.
Still, though.
And mixed sound for a classical concert that was broadcast over the web and recorded for a very high-profile client. Rhymes with Schmarvard. Using an X32 digital soundboard. I used an iPad to mix from the audience. Hot. Eat your heart out, nerds. Your pal, Hando. So, thank you for that quick little tidbit. But I saw the thing about WoW in there and thought I'd bring it up right now as you were finishing or moving on or whatever from WoW. And it's funny because I remember, even though, Hando, I know you're busy and you have your focuses, I think even Kopii had mentioned, like, wow, wouldn't it be a thing if Hando came back and played some more WoW and was on Moonguard as well?
Oh,
it's like this whole like resurgence of VGWers.
It'd be so good if we got everybody on here. If I could convince you and Hando and everybody else to come join us, that'd be awesome.
Let's not get crazy here, because you know I'm not going to MMO. I don't think so. But yes, no, it does sound like a lot of coolness and people coming back because apparently Legions is that good. So that's good.
It is. It's really good. It's really fun.
Everyone I've heard seems to really be enjoying it, so that's cool. All right, did you have anything else you needed to talk about Geek Cred wise, sir, before you were done?
Probably, but I can't remember, so let's move on.
All right. Well, then, for my Geek Cred, I've been active, as I always seem to be. The main things is, it was funny because I got packages in, and I sometimes forget all the things I've ordered. And so with that, I had gotten the Pulse for my camera, and I had this other bigger box. I was like, what's this? What the heck else did I order that would ever be here this quick? I forgot that I finally decided I wanted to try to print things again with actual paper and, my actual inkjet printer. Because I had run it with, and people who know me have made fun of me forever, I'd put a continuous ink system into it, but somehow it had got mucked up and the black ink basically stopped working, and so really I couldn't print anything. So I went and bought a full actual replacement set of regular inks to see if I can't get the printer to behave, not using the continuous ink system, but just regular ink cartridges. And so I got that in, plugged them all in, and so far I've been doing maybe the ink's been dry for a while or something, but I've been going through doing test prints and stuff just today to try to print it out, and so far I've not been successful. I have a lot more cleaning of the printer to do. But hopefully that'll happen again because I'd like to actually be able to print things on my own printer again. Yeah, odd random stuff.
Yeah.
Still been playing MechWarrior Online. We are on today is going to be, starting at 6 o'clock my time tonight, will be the last day of MechWarrior Online's Mechtoberfest event. It'll be one more time to do it.
It's terrible.
Well, it's great. It's been so much fun. We've been playing a crap ton with it. But there's another piece to it, which is right now as they're getting ready for their MechWarrior Festival, or their big meetup, yearly meetup out in Vancouver, I think it is. They're running the first tournament that they've ever had for MechWarrior Online. So professionals getting together for cash prize working and building, and as teams to play together. And at first it'd be like, that's interesting. All right, cool. It's new. We got on Twitch yesterday as they were finishing up the last couple, at least when I got home from things, I saw the last couple. There were about 650 people online watching the tournament, which compared to anything like a LoL or CSGO or something like that,
That's
that
nothing.
doesn't even exist. You have people who stream every day that get more than that. But I will tell you, it was really good. Like, they had two guys who were casting it, one guy who was doing all the actual discussion of the matches, and the other guy who was running the camera, essentially. And it was really well presented and fun to watch, and there were teams out there who are amazing. But being able to just see the stats of what they were running and why, and watch how they did their things, it was really fun to watch. Now, doing this, we also watched it as like a virtual like sports game kind of thing, where a bunch of us got into TeamSpeak together, and so there were probably 7 or 8 of us in TeamSpeak who were all watching the tournament at the same time and discussing. It was great because some people were looking up stats on certain weapons or players or teams, and so we were adding to the discussion from the commentators. I learned a ton from just watching these pros play and seeing how to change things. It was really cool. And so they still have matches going on today and tomorrow. In fact, the matches for the EU started at the same time our show started, which I'm a little like, and actually, crap, that totally reminds me. I should maybe have Twitch on the side of it as well here, because they are doing giveaways on the stream. And so in that, if you're on and once they finish each round, they do a random thing of anybody who's in the Twitch channel, if you're in there, and it's from Piranha Games. So if you go to the Piranha Games channel, there's actually 844 people watching right now for the finals. But after each match, they do a random thing for anybody that's signed into the chat that they'll give away in-game packs of mechs. So $20 worth of mechs between each match, and at the end of the day, to do an ultimate pack, which is like an $80 thing, and they just randomly scrolls through. And it's funny because yesterday there were only 600 people watching. We had, from our group, at least half the people show up in the little spin, not win, but like they did a little countdown spin where their names were within the last couple. Where it's like, is Paz gonna get it? Is Paz gonna get it? That could happen. And then he did it.
That's cool.
Or it was like, oh wait, and so it's just like, it was cool to watch and see just kind of how they did it all. It actually was kind of neat. I liked it. So that's going on right now, and just letting people know.
That's a great way to engage your viewership. So that's smart, especially since they only had 600 odd people. All it takes, like, that helps, right? But the main thing is they're going to need to obviously improve their own. Keep at it, keep going, and if it's good, word will spread, pretty much.
Well, and that's the thing, and this is brand new, and for people who like MechWarrior, this is amazing. Because the skills these guys are showing, we watched a match finish yesterday in like a minute and a half. Because the 12 team versus 12 team, they came in, and within the first 30 seconds, one of the teams had dropped 2 of the other team's mechs. They had sniped them from so far and just rolled around. It was like, what? What just happened? And just, it was impressive to watch. I was like, I guess we need to step up our game. But
that's cool.
It was really cool. So anyhow, that was the MechWarrior piece, and just like, yeah, so I now have the Twitch channel going on there, so I could maybe win some free prizes afterwards if that happens. But you can check it out if you go to Twitch at Piranha Games channel on Twitch TV. And like I said,
well, to be fair, they must be doing something right because they just got a media shout out from us right now, so, there's that.
Well, it's a solid game, right? It's a really damn good game. Even just in the IRC, how Hendo was like, yay, MechWarrior, it's really good. And so, yeah. So that's going on with the tournament. Other things I was going to shout out, I played some Trine 2 as well, because I fortunately get to, when I have time to sit down and kind of hang out and do stuff, hang out with Kopii, and we play some multiplayer Trine 2, and have been making good progress through it. Well, apparently, because I play differently than you do, in that I don't try to troll my characters I'm working with, but instead actually try to complete levels and work through the puzzles. And so,
you mean you have a boring gameplay style?
Oh no, it's a great gameplay style if you want to actually complete the content. And so we've been playing through that and getting pretty far in it, which is great because I also was able to find deals on Trine 3, so that once we finish this, we'll be able to roll into that. And I actually really enjoy it. It's an interesting experience because it's a platformer. Trine is a great platformer that's very pretty and has some interesting physics mechanics and things that you do with each character. Where playing by yourself, you could do it, switch through them all, but playing between 2 makes it pretty interesting. And the way their multiplayer works is really good. And And so Kopii and I have been enjoying playing that, or at least I know I have, a lot. And it's neat because the way some of the puzzles work, you have to think, and it's different than a lot of other kind of puzzle games. So I really enjoy that. And it's beautiful. Side-scroll, beautiful hand-drawn type thing.
Oh, it's so pretty.
The lighting, the colors.
And by the way, it's so cheap. The price of all the games is really nothing on Steam.
You get the whole pack
for the quality of the game.
Yeah, it's such a good one. So if you haven't checked out Trine, you should. It's a lot of fun. But beyond that, the only other thing is I got to finally see Suicide Squad. And now,
what do you think?
I say this, kind of, because admittedly I may have passed out through part of it. Because I was trying to watch it pretty late. And there was like a middle piece where I fell asleep through parts where I was like, I remember trailer stuff that I never saw. I bet you that happened before this piece, when I woke back up. But, it's... DC is trying. And the problem is, it's a mess. But it's a mess in a different way than Batman vs. Superman was a mess. It still, I think, primarily has to do with the editing. That they just don't know how to put everything together in a coherent way that makes sense and just flows well. And so there's jumps and things that are just like, you didn't need to do that. Or you could have explained that so much better like this. So it almost feels like 4 or 5 different people were filming their own parts of the movie and then they just kind of stuck it all together. As a whole, I thought the acting was fine. I thought what they were trying to portray was okay. It just felt clunky or kind of broken how they did it. I thought the cinematography was pretty good, and so I just keep having this hope that they're going to get it together in time for like both the Wonder Woman movie and for Justice League.
That'd be nice.
If they could figure that out, then they'd be doing amazing. So I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't great. I would
agree with that. That's kind of nice for somebody as well.
Yeah, and so that was about the only other thing I did that was really geek-worthy this week that I can think of off the top of my head. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's about it. So, on that note, as the music has already beaten us to it, and I'm about to try doing it on the wrong place, it's time to switch over to the Geek-O-Scope and talk about a few things with some news and such. So,
Technology, news, and more today on the Geek-O-Scope.
So, what do we have today on the Geek-O-Scope? I don't know if you have anything you have queued up and ready to go, Ken. I know I have some old ones I need to eventually get through.
I have a couple here, but how about you go first? Because normally I don't want to take any more time. I want to take quite a lot of this show, so please go on.
Oh, that's never bad. Let's see. What was one that I thought was worth bringing up? I saw one that I thought was pretty cool. I didn't mention it much. Actually, I have another one I should bring up as well. But this one, I'm totally trying to copy the notes into them here. It won't work. It is called Building Star Wars in the Unreal 4 Engine. And essentially, if people don't know, you can go get, and we've talked about it before, get the Unreal Engine for free, model, load a lot of stuff for free in it. As long as you haven't made a game that's sold a certain amount, you can pretty much do whatever you want with the engine. They're like, here, take it, do great things. Well, someone has, and it says, we've had the pleasure of talking with Jason Lewis. This is coming from 80 Level. And it says, about his team's most recent Unreal 4 engine scene. It's just a scene, but it says it features some of the most realistic, real-time rendering of Star Wars-themed assets. It's an astonishing project which you can actually download and play on your PC. So you talk to the choice of tools, product production, the lighting, textures, all this kind of stuff in the Unreal 4 engine. And essentially what they built was Mos Eisley from Star Wars. From the first Star Wars, the Mos Eisley, all the assets of like the physical things there. And so they built the whole town. They built, like, I want to say they have the Millennium Falcon in there, as well as some other assets like a TIE fighter, and I want to say the Imperial Shuttle and stuff like that. And the key is they're really trying to utilize the strengths of the Unreal 4 engine, and in doing so, just making this thing that is gorgeous. And so for anyone that has the CPU just to do it, or has already gotten hold of the engine, which you can, and play some free games like Unreal Tournament, might as well. Some other stuff, you can check out this one, and the link's going to be in the show notes to see like how cool this project is that they put together. It's just gorgeous. So just kind of something I wanted to throw out to people to be aware of if you haven't checked it out for yourself or didn't know about it, that there's a lot you can do in that engine, and this is one of those just like a prime example of how pretty something can be done. And I need to go a step further with it with tech, because apparently, you know, Unreal 4 also really supports the Oculus. And there's supposed to be some 3D experiences you could do in there where even if it's just a scene, you can just stick it on and see it. And so yeah, I want to see it.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
And so there's that. But anyhow, so that's my first one. Just talking about assets and things being made in Unreal 4. Let's see.
Cool. So I've got one here I can jump on.
All right.
Oh, got IGN. If you have an article that's titled something interesting, mention it as a video because I can't discuss a video on air. Just
that does become a little difficult.
Videos.
I hate how many news sites and stuff like that have done that, where you click on what is an article link, and instead of an article link, you get a video. Because it's not always appropriate for you to watch a video. Sometimes you actually do want to read. How crazy a thought is that? And so,
in fact, I would click on the ones that look like videos if I needed a video, yeah. In fact, I'd go to YouTube if I want a video. Anyway, here's a slightly different thing I was going to talk about. Tom Chilton, ex-senior designer and game director on World of Warcraft since 2004, so since its creation, has stepped down from his role and moved on to the slightly mysterious Blizzard project. Announced in a blog post, Chilton revealed that his last work on the game has been the first content update for the well-received new expansion, Legion, and the content plan for further updates. The quote from him was, "My personal journey working on WoW as a game director is at an end. But my journey with Blizzard isn't. I'll still be here, but we'll be focusing on another project within the company." So, I think kind of hints. I don't know what the plan is with Warcraft in the future, but I feel like this might be the last expansion. Like, they've gotten a good note here. They had some ups and downs in the past, and I think it would be wise for them to end it on a good note. I don't see how they could possibly keep this game going with technology moving forward. Using that same game engine that still has a basis at the core of it. Like, you still see it in PvP sometimes, some of the weird things that pop up. Like, it'll say, like, you killed a knight and stuff. It's like, we don't use those ranks anymore. We haven't used those ranks for years. They don't exist in the game other than in the core game that can't be removed, apparently. Stuff like that. So, anyway, game's old. I'm not surprised he's moving on. I don't know what's going to happen in the future of it, but who knows? Maybe he'll put some of the fantastic the design that has gone to WoW, at least in the past. I think you have to agree with that part, at least, Wayne. Into this new project, wherever it may be. So who knows? We might get something else cool out of it.
Well, there's a point where everything, right? You can only ride something so long, and especially if you feel like you're someone who's creative and wants to do things, at some point you may feel like you're not being creative anymore. You're just doing more of the same. And so it makes sense that you might want to go on and do something new, do something else. That absolutely makes sense to me. So, but no,
definitely.
Good work on everything you've done. And yeah, it's neat to see somebody hopefully contribute what they're doing to something else. It'd be great to see new IPs. Because I love new IPs. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Let's see. No, that's cool to hear. I'm trying to think if I want to do my life-changing, my rant, stand on the box thing, soapbox thing, or something a little less. Oh, here's one. I've actually meant to bring this up multiple times, and I don't know if I ever told you about it. I love 3D printing. I love robotics and technology and things like that. Did I ever talk to you about a device that uses essentially 3D printing technology, but to do something much more real world? In this case,
medicine thing.
Well, in this case, it's food.
So I've heard about this, and I've read a lot of theories on this because it's a very interesting topic. But I don't know exactly what you're talking about. So
all right, so I put a link in the IRC, and this is one of those links that feel free to click on because it'll bring up a page, and the front page just has basically the video behind it that essentially will tell you exactly what I'm talking about. But what this is it's called farmbot.io, and what this is it's a tool and a whole system for essentially allowing you to automate growing food so that anyone could do it themselves. What it is, and I love this concept, I saw it a while ago and I was like, this is brilliant. You basically set up a planter in your yard, wherever you want, and whatever dimensions you want, because you can actually build this extensible to whatever size, and it uses the idea of like the X, Y, Z axis movement of a 3D printer to go and use multiple little pots to basically set up your whole area of like plotted land or whatever to farm. And so what it does is you hook it up to essentially a water source, a power source, and you can do it even via solar, and it will go and you set up pockets of different seeds, fertilizer, things like that, and it will monitor the whole thing and allow you to plant and control like your own essentially your own garden. And what it does is where it knows exactly where it planted the seeds, it also will go in there and it'll track when things are growing outside of where the seeds were planted. And so in doing so, it can weed automatically. And so anything that's growing up not where it should, it can go in there and pull it and such. And so it's essentially this whole automated system for growing a garden. And in doing so, make it so that even a geek like me who maybe doesn't have a true green thumb could have an active garden that you can monitor and keep track of outside. I just thought
this is the future. This is
super
the future
cool.
right here.
Super cool. Well, and I talked about a while back about having that indoor herb garden where it actually filters and does everything itself by having a fish tank a part of it, and it's a very integral thing, but the thing was stupid expensive. This one is, I think, a little less so, I want to say. It's still expensive. I think it's a pretty good investment. But, what is it? Yeah, so it's about $3,100, so $3,100 currently on sale here in the U.S. Retails for it says $4,000. But the idea that this could provide you food year-round kind of thing, or constantly, is huge to me. And they say you can set up the conditions you were in and all these kind of things, so that's very smart and aware, and that uses apps online to help manage it. So you can even set it up in something like a greenhouse if you want to grow it year-round and not worry about like winter or stuff like that. It's silly. It is not for everyone. It's something that's kind of just a whatever. But for me,
what's the price range like?
So it basically, the overall kit is about $4,000.
Still pretty expensive.
It is. No, it's very expensive. Not saying it's not. That's why I don't have one. But the idea of automated food production that you can keep maintaining, and what's really neat about it is it only uses the proper amount of water and this and that, and it individually customizes it for every plant. So you can have multiple different types of plants growing throughout the garden, and it tracks them all and does things appropriately for. I think it's a neat concept. It's a little different and odd, but for me, who sometimes thinks about being a prepper in the lightest sense of being able to get ready for just taking care of more things myself, I love the idea. And so that's just me.
I like it too. I think, to be honest, even though it is expensive, if you can get one that's large enough to, actually replace at least a large part of your food from elsewhere, like you can actually just grow a lot of your own food at that point, suddenly, you know what, you can make the money back in a couple of years. That's not so bad, as long as it actually works properly as described.
And that's where I'm curious about it, but it's something I just keep looking at, like, and honestly, someone like Kuro could probably figure out how to build most of that himself, as handy as he is.
Probably.
But it does look like it's really well designed. It's got both like a vacuum system that allows it to pick up and move things, change the tools automatically, and just, it's a neat concept. So, anyhow, just throwing it out there. And it's, you know what, Tromat, I agree. You can garden for yourself, and a lot of people do, but for someone like me who keeps talking about it but has never done it, if I could set up a planter box, build this thing because of the tech, which would probably get me jazzed enough to do it, then next thing you know, I could have my own garden.
This clearly is not for people who want to do it themselves. This is for people who don't want to do it themselves.
I have enough problem getting down and like having to like climb behind whatever and stuff, so no. For me, that'd be perfect. Plus, it's technology, and I love technology. So, anyhow.
There's also the other thing, like, it's a bit like preparing for an apocalyptic scenario, but it requires power as well, obviously, so that's the one issue.
Well, but they said you can hook it up to solar.
Oh, okay.
They actually have the specs to put solar panels next to it, so it's essentially off the grid. And then you just do water.
I'm sold.
And
I might even consider that in the future.
Now, granted, here in an arid condition like Colorado, it may not work, but did you also see there's technology out there? I don't know how it works. I just saw a quick little ad for it kind of thing of this concept, which is a basically someone building their own moisture collector, much like from Star Wars.
Yeah.
And what it is it's a big, basically internal vertical fan, so kind of a vertical turbine like you would do for a wind turbine. But what it's designed to do is it runs a bigger fan underneath it, and that fan actually collects air molecules in such a way that as it cools it, it condenses any moisture from the air. And that collects down into a condensed piece that's buried underground that's cool enough that it helps it condense. And in doing so, it says, produce up to 37 liters of water in a day. Now, granted, that would be a pretty moist environment. But in doing so, essentially, it has a built-in pump, so you can pump the water from the base out. And so somebody is trying to work on and build their own moisture farming.
That's cool. Hey, that could save lives one day. That's a really good thing to work on.
Well, I'm a huge fan of putting multiple technologies together to get off the grid and basically do things where I don't have to rely on big corporations to feed me my life sources.
It's the kind of thing I'd happily put in a capital of several thousand to get myself off relying off of other people and other things, and stop bills, right? I don't mind paying a large chunk to save myself tens of thousands in the future.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
So it's just, for me, it's anything pressing technology. I love things that are pushing forward in the future of technology. And some of it I may see someday, some of it I'm like, who knows? But yeah, I love that concept. So a few things like that just to throw out there to everybody. So cool. All right, Ken, do you have another one for us as we have, a good 10 minutes left in the show today?
I've got one more that I think I could probably fit in here. So I picked this up intentionally because I was talking about earlier, which was Shadow Warrior 2.
Yes.
So this is a review by IGN, and there's several videos, and obviously I'm not going to click on those, but let me read out some of it. So, Lo Wang returns with even more great melee combat and dirty jokes.
Okay.
Is the first subline, which is kind of accurate because the comedy part of it was a large part of it.
Yes, definitely.
Intimidation is the tool of the fearful heart, said the dude across from me, trying hard to live into his sensei role. Hey, better than being the fool of the tearful fart, said Lo Wang, hero of Shadow Warrior 2. I was already giggling at that point, and even more so when Wang's chatmate remarked on what a deeply stupid reply that was. Sure, it's kind of a you had to be there kind of thing, but you can safely take it as a test of how much you'll be getting out of Wang's ever-extending story. There's satisfying combat beyond all that, great co-op fun, but it's stuffed with hours of penis-shaped swords on display stands, penis constellations in the sky, which must be the High Wang, and a mountain of off-color quips. It's crass and juvenile, and it reminds me a little of Duke Nukem in his better moments, but Duke never managed to make me laugh quite like this. Believe it or not, I'll do one more paragraph here. Believe it or not, there's a decent story here about the young woman whose soul gets trapped in Wang's body, but their effort to restore her to her own body by killing lots of interdimensional demons and robots doesn't matter so much as their endless banter about each other and their surroundings. Wang's remarks are violently stupid, but there's a hint of genius about them. To the point where I heard co-op friends in my voice chat channel routinely stop talking to hear whatever awful thing he said next. So yeah, the 2013 Shadow Warrior reboot, which I played the crap out of, I thought was great. I played it twice, I played it in different difficulties, really enjoyed it. It was a really pretty game. They haven't mentioned that here for some reason, but the first one was the remake was really, really pretty.
Yes.
Well worth the money of however much it cost at the time. I think I got it 75% off back then because it just didn't take off very well, but clearly it went off well enough to for people to pick up for Shadow Warrior 2 to be created. So that's cool. I'm really looking forward to getting this because it is a cool looking game. It's lots of fun. It's a first person shooter and sword game based in the modern world, but the modern world's being invaded by demons, and you're in like China and Japan and stuff, and you're also in demon worlds, and it's a mix of comedy, great combat, really fast paced. It's really pretty. Honestly, just a great game. Really thoroughly enjoyed the first one, and so this second one looks like it's going to be really good. And everything I read about it just keeps me want to buy it more and more. So
nice.
I think I will buy after the show actually.
When we convince ourselves to buy something during the show.
No. Well, that's a good thing that we can use the show for, is that, you know, you can tell I'm doing a truthful review of something or whatever, or truthful insight into what I think of a product if I'm telling you I'm probably going to go buy this. You know, that's pretty much the best I can say about a game out there that I don't yet have. So I'm probably going to go buy this. There you go. Cool. So that's my last article. Sir, you want to?
All right. Well, then the last one I'll probably bring up today. There's a bunch of different ones that I have a bunch of old ones I need to get through at some point. But it's one that I just kind of had a life lesson message for people, I guess. It's something that I came across in news articles and stuff in general, but just something to throw to people, and it's called The 7 Biggest Lies Holding You Back from Happiness. So, ending the show up essentially on a lighter note or a different note. But these are just kind of things, just people you should be aware of, that it goes back into a mantra I kind of have, that in order to be happy in life, you have to be happy with yourself, because no one else or anything else can make you happy. There are things that can help accentuate your happiness, but really it's about you knowing who you are and just being, you know, comfortable with that. So these will be a little bit whatever, but the first one is just, this is a lie essentially. So it's saying don't follow these things. It says he or she will change. And that is a constant misconception people have, that if they get with somebody that they like on the surface, but there's something that really bugs them about it that somehow they're going to change over time. The key is people don't change unless they choose to. You can never change someone. So keep that in mind.
Yep, that's true.
Another one is, I'll do it one day. And it says in this one, this one in particular is deceptive. It says, one day you will what? Travel the world, write a novel, start your side business? This lie in this article drives me crazy because one day you will wake up and there will be no time left to do any of these things. No one ever knows how many precious days you have here on planet Earth. Plan it now, get the wheels in motion now, do it now. The present's all we got. And that's just the basic, the big difference between people who are successful and not is do it. Is most people just think about things and never do anything with it. And so in order to change, do it and actually get going. Another one is, if I had more time, I would do X, Y, Z. And that's another one kind of in the same vein, which is, people keep putting off saying, I can't exercise because I don't have enough time. Or I can't do this because I don't have enough time. The key is you have to make time. It's all about priorities. And so it basically says you can cut back on one or two little things in your life and probably find time to add that one new thing you're after. It says, if you cut back on tweeting, texting, and Instagramming, spend 20 to 30 minutes less on social media per day, that ends up to a lot of time per week. It's just an example. And so it's about priorities. Another one. If you could just have X, everything would be so much better. And that's like one of the biggest fallacies I keep seeing people run into, is saying, if I only had more money, if I only had that pay raise, if I only had the perfect body, if I only had things like that, life would be better. And it's the same thing. No, those things may make your life better in a sense, but you can't rely or wait for those things before you find your happiness. You have to deal with what you're at today and stuff like that. Now, I will say, Tromad, just like you said in the IRC, can I cut back on my job? If I could cut back on my job, that would definitely make me happier for the near term. But I have to do other things to make sure I can do that. Make sure I'm financially secure to do that.
I was going to say, in the long term, you'd probably be sadder because you have to work for longer in your life, and then you'd have overall probably less time to do whatever you want to do. You'll have to retire later, etc. If you cut down your, come back
really work, the messages are a whole lot of do it now kind of stuff. But another one says, I'm stuck. And this is what I hear from a lot of people who they get themselves a rut, but says, even though it doesn't feel like it, we always have a choice. And that's one of my foot stomps. Whether you feel like you can't move to a new apartment, get a new job, get out of a relationship, there's always a way.
I can attest to that one personally. When I left the corporate world and went into student life again, that was a big change, and that was risky because I was risking my marriage and everything with that because my wife's visa in the country depends on us having a certain amount of income.
Yep.
And I said to her, look, neither of us are happy as we are right now, and something needs to change. And so I made that change, and we both moved and across the country, and now we're both much happier years later. And looking back, if I stayed there, man, I don't know how depressed. I'd still be massively depressed to this day. So I'm really glad I made that change. I just got up and said, you know what, there are downsides to me doing this, but if I don't do it now, I never will, sort of thing. So yeah, do it.
That's really the key, is just do it. And in one of the other quotes, it says that one of her friends was saying that she couldn't do what she wanted because she had no time, no resources, and no idea where to start. What she was actually saying was, if I just tried a little harder, I would be, in this case, a kick-butt photographer part-time, but I'm choosing to be a victim instead. And that's one of those key words in there, is that victim piece. That I kind of, when I read that, I was like, wow. And so many people do. It's like, so make a change. I have a friend, and I appreciate her, that moved out west, and she's struggling, and my advice to her was basically, life may suck for the next year or two because you just made a change. But you got to keep going. Don't let this current suck define you. Just make little changes, focus on what you do have control over, and start there. Another one is, I am not ready to do X. And it says, no one ever truly feels ready for anything. Parenthood, entrepreneurship, change. We just begin. That's how we become ready. If you say you aren't ready for something, you're either not really interested in doing it or you're procrastinating. Which is it? And the last one, I'm not good enough. This is the biggest lie of all. You are good enough, you are enough, you do not need to do anything to deserve a full, rich, happy life. And he quotes Oprah and says, there's a difference between thinking you deserve to be happy and knowing that you're worthy of being happy. Your being alive makes happiness your birthright. You alone are enough. But the key is, you can't just you can't just hope or expect something's going to come into your life to make you happy. You have to find that happiness yourself. So,
Yeah.
I wanted to throw that out there because it was something that inspired me, and I know this is a techie show and that, but...
Well, when you started off, I was like, oh god, this is going to be some gumph to do with, like, oh, the true happiness is found by looking within one's... And you know what, I thought it was going to be corny, but you know what, it's entirely realistic, it's entirely... And it's common sense, really. It's just a case of, you know what, we all know this stuff, we all know it's true, this isn't telling us something we don't already know. This is just making you stop lying to yourself about it. This is just making you wake up and realize that, you know, what that voice in the back of your head is correct. You can make a change, you can do this. You're the only one holding yourself back in this situation. You're not a victim. You are your own person. Stand on your own 2 feet and do it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You got to take ownership of your happiness. You really do. Anyhow,
totally right.
I'll leave it on that. Do some introspect. Read the article link if you want to see more on it. But that's just one of my things where, in general, I'm happy because that's my choice. Anyhow, Ken, we're at the end of the show. It's time for us to go back and get back to our lives. I will be gaming after the show today, so check me out in TeamSpeak. But so with that, Ken, could you wrap us up?
Yes, I can, like a tortilla. You've been listening to... I don't know why I said that. You've been listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. Be sure to send us an email, showx@VTWProductions.com. Tell us what you've been up to in the past week. We're always interested. We love you guys. Support us on patreon.com/showx. We like that too. Follow us on twitter.com/VTWShowX for the official Twitter, where it'll say when we're live. It'll say tweets to our most recent MP3s of the shows, etc. Do that. Also check out twitter.com/DuckDead for Mr. Wayne's Twitter feed, and twitter.com/GoX for my own personal one, which I've not been using much recently, to be fair. You can also check us out on Facebook. We'll go to ShowX and find us there. We've been up... in the past week, there's been, was a 400% I saw earlier increase in reach, which means that my posts that I've been posting, all the spammy meme ones that I think are funny, have been up, but, sorry, 346%. So
that other people have shared, liked, and done things with as well, which we appreciate and encourage. By all means, share us with everyone you know, whether they like geek or not.
Yeah, good. Yeah, force it upon them. Because, you know, these posts I find funny. If you share them, then it increases our exposure, and it's a free, cheap, easy way of supporting the show that you guys clearly listening to, so, you know, you must enjoy it. Other than that, I want to give a thanks out to Alpha Geek Radio. They're fantastic. They've given us so much help over the years, and we appreciate everything they do for us. I also want to give thanks to all the other... Well, not thanks. I want to give a shout out to all the other shows on VTWRussians.com. We have a standard of quality here, and all of our shows adhere to that, and we appreciate everything from those guys as well. Finally, I might look into the art contest this week. We'll see how I feel, because it might give me a kick in the butt to go do some photography, and that'll be fun. I'll do a one-off. I won't promise I'll do it. That's what I promise. I promise I'll do one in the next week. But it's not going to be a monthly, unless it has good participation. So if you guys are interested, then great. If not, then it'll just be the one-off. Okay? All right. Thanks for having me on the show, sir. It's been fun as always.
Well, thank you very much. And like Ken said, make sure you check out all the shows on Beyond Show X on VTWProductions.com, as well as everything on Alpha Geek Radio. So thank you, everybody, and we will catch you again next week. Bye!
Goodbye. See you in the next zombie.